Hello, how are you going? So in this video I want to talk about different dimensions. Different dimensions in our universe. Now, are there different dimensions in our universe? Well, obviously there is, right? Because just look at geometrical structures like the square, the circle, an octagon, a hexagon. All these things are different dimensional structures. There's 4 dimensions in this universe: length, breadth, depth, and time. So dimensions are a very real thing in our universe. And an easy way to explain that is 2 people never think exactly the same. They don't think the same thoughts. They don't think alike, right? No one does. There's billions of people on the planet and no one actually thinks the same thing at the same time. Why? Because they're all thinking on different dimensions. They're all thinking different things about different times of the day, and all these different things are different dimensions. So, okay, if you look at something like a singularity, a black hole, what is that? Well, mathematically, when we look at that, we call it a positive square root solution, which is the entry point. The Einstein-Rosen bridge, which is the throat of the singularity, and negative square root solution is the other side, or the exit point of the black hole. Now, what is a black hole? Why is it there? Well, in our universe, we've got a very big black hole called the NGC1, and it actually is 22 billion solar masses, the size in size. Now, one solar mass is what we calculate as the size of our sun. So this is 22 billion times the size of our sun. It's eating up trillions and tens of trillions of tons of matter every second. Well, why is it doing that? Because that's God's idea of a vacuum cleaner. Yeah, because when you got things in the universe he doesn't want, they go what they call they pass the event horizon, which is a point near the black hole that when something goes near that black hole and it goes to the point which we call the event horizon, it gets sucked in, drawn into the black hole. And the black hole itself, what it's actually doing is it's not just, we know that they're dense, right? It's obvious that they're dense, completely collapsed gravitational objects. But what it's actually doing is it's crushing matter so much, so intensely, that the matter turns into energy. And then that energy then leaves the negative square root solution on the other side of the black hole. So, okay, we're talking about different dimensions and stuff. So, aliens, you probably thought, well, what's going on? What are these aliens? Well, we've had millions and millions and millions of sightings of aliens in our universe. And we've had these sightings going on, well, since the early 30s to 40s, 1940s and all that. So what are they? What are these aliens? Well, if you think about it, God's not the same as you are as a human being. So therefore, he's in a technical term, you could call God an alien, right? Because he doesn't think the way you think. He doesn't carry on the way you carry on. So he's an alien in this system. Even though it's his own system, he's still an alien, relatively speaking, compared to human beings. So what are these aliens? What are they? Well, they're a race of people that God did design. He did make them, and the reason that they move across the galaxy so quick and, way faster than any of the conventional jets and what you've got on planet Earth is because they need to get from A to B very, very quickly, because what they are, they're like what you would call in the army special ops, right? So they work for God, and their job, main job, is to find out information and to report back to God. And and to give him intel, if you like, a reconnaissance on what they've found out in the day, or where they've been, or what they've been doing. And they're a necessary part of the existence of God, because I know you might think that, well, God's everywhere at once. Well, that's a fallacy. God's power is everywhere at once, but God as an individual is not everywhere at once. How can a building, like, say, the Eiffel Tower, how can that be everywhere at once? It can't be. And God's the same. He can't be everywhere at once. His power can be everywhere at once, but not actually God himself. And it's not to say that limits God in any way. It's just a very logical way of understanding God, that God can go from A to B. I'm not saying he can't go from A to B, but his power is what's everywhere, not necessarily the individual or the entity or God himself. So these aliens are necessary on the planet, because they do a lot of reporting back to God. They do a lot of scientific stuff that needs to be done. And that's basically what's going on with these aliens. They don't really, they're not intentionally trying to hurt the human race, but they are there in place as part of God's entourage, if you like, to carry out jobs and things that need to be done in our universe. We need to know certain things that are happening here and there, and they will move very, very quickly into position and find out things. If God needs to work out what's going on here and there, and they don't basically communicate verbally like a human being. They use their mind to communicate between each other and with God, and yeah, so it's just a part of creation. It might sound a little bit disturbing and a bit alarming for some people to listen to what I'm saying now, but this is what's going on. These aliens are a part of God's creation, and this is probably the first time you've ever heard that, but that is what's going on. They are an important and integral part of the universe, and they're not going away any time soon. Yeah, so when we talk about different dimensions, obviously, talking through with the mind, without talking verbally, that's on a different dimensional ratio. That's a different way of communicating. They've got, their technology is way more advanced than the human race, and they're just part of God's army, if you like. Yeah, so I hope that explains a little bit more about dimensions and aliens and what's going on. But if you have any questions or anything that you need to ask me about any of these things, feel free to comment, and yeah, and I'll get back to you and see if I can answer as many questions as possible. So until the next video, I'll be naming this one, by the way, Aliens and Dimensions. Okay, I'll see you soon.